This is
Make It Plain.
Make It Plain.
MIP
With Masamela Matfumo.
Mark Thompson.
Make It Plain.
Get woke.
Hey, I'm Kat, mom of 3 and founder of Ritual, the company setting a new standard in the supplement industry. When I was pregnant, I remember staring at my prenatal vitamins and thinking, what's in this stuff? All I found were vitamins high in heavy metals and lacking in the very essential nutrients we need. So we scoured the world for the best quality ingredients, backed by clinical studies, third-party tested, and Ritual's Essential Prenatal was born. Join our family of skeptics with 40% off your first month when you visit ritual.com/podcast.
18 days after the March on Washington, Birmingham, Alabama, a bomb exploded in the 16th Street Baptist Church just before a Sunday morning service. 15 people were injured. 4 children were killed. The murder of these children shook the nonviolent movement to its core. As the people buried their dead, they sang, "We Shall Overcome." But in anger and in rage, many wondered how.
God is on our side.
God is on our side. God is on our side.
What murdered these little girls? Every Negro who refuses to go down to try to register and vote participated in that act. What murdered these 4 girls? The apathy and the complacency of many Negroes who will sit down on their stools of do nothing and not engage in creative protest to get rid of this evil system. What murdered these 4 young girls was the Negro business and professional individual who's more concerned about his job than he's concerned about freedom and justice.
One of the seminal moments in the civil rights movement. We all know the story of the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham, Alabama, where 4 little girls were killed at the hands of the KKK. One of those little girls was or is a sister. The little girls' names were Cynthia Wesley, Carole Robertson, Denise McNair, and Addie Mae Collins. It is a privilege to introduce to you now the sister of Addie Mae Collins, Sarah Collins Rudolph. Sister Collins Rudolph, Sister Sarah, God bless you, and thank you for joining us for the broadcast.
Well, thank you for having me.
It is an honor. Perhaps we should begin by sharing your story. How old were you?
I was 12 years old on September 15th, 1963.
Now, your family were members of the 16th Street Baptist Church, correct?
Yes, they were.
And tell us about that morning of September 15th.
Well, that morning, it was a beautiful day. I remember how Janie and Addie and myself, how we walked to church that morning. We was having such a good time playing with Janie's little black purse, just throwing it and catching it. We never did think of what we was walking into. But anyway, when we got to church that morning, Janie came down and laid us down, then she went on back upstairs. While we was downstairs, Addie and me, Cynthia, Denise, and Carol came in the door and went on the other side where the stalls was. When they was finna leave to go out, I was standing by the sink, and Addie was standing in front of me where the window was. and she stood there in front of the couch. So when the girls came out, I remember Denise asking Addie to tie the sash of her dress. And when she reached her hand out to tie it, I heard that loud sound, boom. She never did finish tying the sash, and all of a sudden I said, Jesus, the sound was so loud, that's all I could say. And I said, Addie, Addie, Addie. But she didn't answer, so I thought the girls had ran on the other side where the Sunday school area was. So all of a sudden somebody outside said, somebody bombed the 16th Street Church. And the rough was so clear, it was as though they was in the lounge with us, but a big hole just blew in that side where they was standing. It was exactly by the window. So when the debris came rushing in, I was blind in both eyes. But and somebody came in, Pamela Rutledge, this is his name. He rushed in and brought me out, and the ambulance would look like it was already out there waiting. So they put me in the ambulance and rushed me over to Hillman Hospital, but the name of it now is UAB Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
When I got there, I was on this little cot for a while because the eye doctor wasn't there, so I waited a little while. Before he got there, Janie came to see me. She said, I asked her, I said, where is Addie? And she said, Addie hurt her back, but she was going to come tomorrow to see me like that. So I didn't know that something had happened to Addie until I heard Janie tell somebody that one of her sisters was killed in the bombing.
Now, be sure I understand, Janie was your other sister?
Yeah, she was the one that we all walked to church together that morning.
Mm-hmm. How old was Janie?
I think Janie was about 15.
And how old was Addie Mae?
14. Well, I was a baby. I was 12 during that time. But anyway, they rushed me upstairs that day, and they operated on my eyes, and I stayed in the hospital for about 2.5 months. When they did take the bandage off my eye, the doctor asked me, what do I see? They took them off my left eye, and I told him I see a little light. And then he said, what did I see when he took it off my right eye? And I told him I can't see nothing. I was blinded instantly from the bomb.
You all were in the ladies' room?
Yeah, the ladies' lounge.
Okay.
Yeah.
You remember about what time of morning that was?
Well, when the church was bombed, it was 10:22 because, the clock on the wall, that's what time the clock stopped at that time.
So you were in the hospital and they came and told you what happened to your sister?
I didn't know find out till later because I know when Jada said that Addie was going to be coming tomorrow like that to see me, I knew she was just trying to keep me from getting upset. I found out about it later. My mother, she came up to visit. And she was letting me know, and I heard it on the news. Because later, my brother, he bought a radio, transistor radio, and I heard what had happened. And I really didn't even get a chance to even go to the girls' funeral since I was in the hospital.
But you said you felt like Janie was just trying to make you feel better. Did you know that at the time she told you? Did you have the feeling that something worse had happened?
No, I didn't know. Because like I said, when the bomb went off, I was blinded instantly, so I couldn't see what had happened really to the girl.
And what was it like when your mother came to talk to you about it and came to visit you in the hospital?
Well, it was really sad, and I just didn't really know how to take it. So I never did think that going to church and you end up being bombed in the church, and my sister and those other girls was killed. It just kept me really nervous by the sound of that bomb. I still jumps today from loud sounds, and it just was really shocking just to know somebody would put a bomb in the church and kill 4 little innocent girls.
Did your eyesight ever improve at all?
Yes, but afterwards I had glaucoma, and also I still have a piece of glass in my eye. I have a cataract. The doctor don't want to mess with it because since I don't have a one eye, he don't want to touch it. So if it ever bothers me, he said that he will operate. Because I went for about right after the bombing, my eye was still in a bad shape. My doctor, he would lower the pressure with eye drops, but on last June, the eye drops wasn't doing any good, so he had to cut a incision in my eye to drain the fluid from it, because in glaucoma, we are blind if that fluid get too heavy and won't drain.
So now, of course, there was a movement going on in Birmingham at the time. Was your family involved, besides being members of the church, was your family involved in that movement? I know there was a big children's march there. Were you all involved in any of that?
Now, my mother, she would. My mother would always go to the marriage meetings. Mm-hmm. They would have marriage meetings on Wednesday night, and I would see her going to those marriage meetings, and she would march. But we was a little young. We didn't participate in all that. You know, they wasn't having those meetings really at 16th Street Church, because it was the big church and it could hold a lot of people. Uh-huh. Most of the people that went really remember that church. They weren't involved in that marching, but I remember my mother was, because people back then that was poor, they would always try to get our civil rights. But most of the people at that church, they would already have their good job, doctors and lawyers and teachers, and they wasn't really involved in it because they thought maybe they would lose their job back getting involved.
Dr. King eulogized 3 girls, and then there was a separate funeral for another. And forgive me for not knowing, did Dr. King eulogize your sister?
Yeah, it could be.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, it's interesting to hear you say that, because we were listening earlier to an excerpt from his eulogy, and he talked about what you just said. And he said what had caused that to happen, that bombing, were those, at that time, you use the term Negro, of course. He said those Negroes who wouldn't do anything. So it's funny to hear you say that there were people like that in Birmingham with good jobs and just were kind of going along.
They had good jobs. Those people at that church, they weren't gonna get into it because they didn't want to lose their good job. Teachers and principals, doctors and lawyers, and just people like that. They didn't have to march because they already had them. But I know my mother marched because we was sitting on the poor side and we wanted things to get better, and she did. She went out there.
But of course, you knew she was involved. You knew what was going on. Did you ever hear or see Dr. King before September?
Oh, yes, I seen him. I remember we was going to the church to see the 10 Commandments. And he was standing right there on the top of the steps telling people to come on in to the meetings. During that time, one of the ladies at the church, she picked us up to go see the 10 Commandments. They had the 10 Commandments downstairs in the basement part, but the meeting was always up there in the sanctuary part.
The movie, the 10 Commandments?
Yeah, we went to see it that night. And he was standing up there at the top of the stairs he had his bullhorn, telling people come on in. And there was a crowd of people going in upstairs to him. Mm-hmm. Hear him speak.
Hey, I'm Kat, mom of 3 and founder of Ritual, the company setting a new standard in the supplement industry. When I was pregnant, I remember staring at my prenatal vitamins and thinking, what's in this stuff? All I found were vitamins high in heavy metals and lacking in the very essential nutrients we need. So we scoured the world for the best quality ingredients, backed by clinical studies, third-party tested, and Ritual's Essential Prenatal was born. Join our family of skeptics with 40% off your first month when you visit ritual.com/podcast.
Sarah Collins Rudolph with us, folks. She survived the Birmingham blast. You said you were in hospital, a couple of months?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was in there a while because of my condition, because I had glass in my face and in my chest. And when I went to the doctor not too long ago, he had said I had a piece still in my stomach. And I never have had any children. So I remember Jana was telling me, my mama told her that I would never have any kids because of the glass still in my stomach.
Your parents, they've passed on?
Yes, they passed. Yes, my mother and father passed.
What was it like in the home after that? And how did your parents, how did they live out their lives, Miss Rudolph? How was that?
Well, it was almost the same before the bombing, but I can tell that my mother, she was still sad, and my father was sad about what had happened. It just wasn't the same because Addie was killed and I almost lost my life, but we just made it. We made it the best way we could because we wouldn't, back there during that time, we wouldn't talk about the bomb. And it was just a thing that people just kept quiet about.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't mention it.
Yeah, times are really different back then, weren't they? A lot of things I guess people just didn't talk about.
And, when I went back to school, they didn't counsel me. And I remember the doctor told my mother bring me back that fit to remove my right eye because if they didn't, I would go blind in my left eye. So I had to go back and in that shape because I didn't get any counseling. I had a teacher said I was spoiled because I couldn't get a stitch right in my sewing class, and she hit me in my back. And, people were just, it's mean, it just what, they didn't really understand by going in a bombing at the age of 12. That took a lot away, took a lot of away from me, and I couldn't go back and do things like I used to do when I went back to school.
And they probably were so scared themselves, they probably didn't want to acknowledge it. People act like stuff never happens sometimes just because they're scared it's going to happen to them. You know what I mean?
Right. Might have been what it was, but they wouldn't sympathize with you and try to help you. And the people at 16th Street Church, when they came to even visit me in the hospital, they wasn't too friendly, and I wasn't either, because I always thought they was the reason why the church was bombed. I was...
Now, what do you mean by that? You said, why do you think they were the reason the church was bombed?
I thought the people at that church were the reason why it was bombed, because they were those uppity people, the elite people. And by me being 12, that's all I could think about, because I didn't know. I really didn't know.
And then you said you went back to school and a teacher hit you in the back?
Yeah, because I couldn't get the sewing stitch right. And when I showed her the stitch, she hit me and said, you just spoiled. And she hit me in my back, and I walked out the school ground and told my mother, and she came back and she gave her a piece of mine because she didn't have no business doing that because I couldn't get it right.
Well, why would she say you were spoiled?
I don't know. I guess because that little attention I was getting, I wasn't getting too much.
Right.
Because most of the people really didn't even know. I don't believe they really knew that I was even in the bombing, because they carried me out of there and put me in the ambulance so fast. It was though they was waiting. The ambulance was out there waiting. And they put me in there and carried me to the hospital, and so quick till most of the people probably didn't even think there was a few girls, but about them talking all the time about the 4 girls, and Spike Lee named that movie and document the four little girls. I think a lot of them didn't even really know about me because, I didn't do any talking much about it.
So you finished school.
Yeah.
And
I finished high school, yeah.
And what happened next in your life?
Well, I wasn't able to go to college. I wanted to go to college and be a nurse, but by going through that bombing, I wasn't really able. I was suffering with post-traumatic stress syndrome, and I just wasn't myself anymore. So I remember the children at school was asking me was I going to college, and I told them no. I said just listen and get out of high school, because it was something just being in school like that. You done been in a bomb, and that's all I always thought the kids was talking about, man, because my face was disfigured during that time, so I couldn't go to school. You
felt people were talking about you because of what had happened?
I thought they was about me because my face was disfigured. Like I said, I had glass in my face, and I had a prosthetic, and I wasn't the same no more.
And did you ever get any counseling?
No, I did.
Yeah, people don't get enough counseling today. I know they didn't have any counseling in 1963.
No, they didn't have nothing. You just walk around in the same condition.
Was there anybody that you counted on, that you relied on to talk to? What about your pastor at 16th Street? What was your relationship with him?
It wasn't close. It really wasn't close with the pastor. It wasn't like you can go and talk to him. He came to visit me. My pastor was Reverend John Cross at
Okay.
that time.
Okay.
But he didn't come. He came to the hospital to visit me. But I mean, being at the age of 12, I wasn't talking too much. I didn't have too much to say to him.
And what about your sister Janie? How did she make it through that? And was she a source of comfort for you at all?
Yeah, she was good. She was about the only one, really, because I remember when I came home, I still had some glass in my face, and when she seen the sign, and she would get something, get it out. She was just like a little nurse, because she made sure that she would pick the glass out of my face, talk to me.
So you didn't go to college. So what did you do? Did you start working?
Yeah, I found a new job, cleaning. I started cleaning, because back then, that was most of what, on the time the job, you could get cleaning houses or something like that. So that's what I did. And then I started working at a foundry, trying to hide myself from the world because I just didn't feel presentable to be out there.
You tried to hide yourself because you didn't feel presentable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a job working in foundries.
Now, what is that?
And foundries.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got you. Okay. Sarah Collins Rudolph with us, folks, the sister of Addie Mae Collins. She was injured in the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. How do you feel now, Miss Collins Rudolph? How do you feel now about yourself? Do you still feel that you don't want to be seen or that you're unpresentable? You're talking now, and that's good. You're talking to people and being interviewed, I know. But how do you really feel inside about all of this?
Now I feel much better because God had to do a lot of work on me because, like I said, I was in real bad shape. But he had to do some work on me by me going to church and getting saved. And I just gave my life to God. And he began to do a work on me after I had repented and come to him. And right now, I feel much better than what I used to feel.
Have you forgiven those who did this to you?
Yes, I had to do that, yes, because, when people do things like that, they is operating with another spirit, a demonic spirit. Because people that love God and that God used them, they wouldn't put a bomb on the church and kill people, injure people. And so I had to forgive them because it was just work of the devil. So I just hope they repented before they left and asked God to forgive them for what they did. Because I believe in heaven. I don't want to have nothing in my heart when I meet God.
If you drive back through that area, go near the church, what do you think about?
I always think about that day. That day, a day I'll never forget. Just thinking about how it looked and what happened that morning. I would never get that out of my mind as long as I live, because that was a day that changed my life. It changed my whole life. And it was evil thing they did.
Yes, ma'am.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Sarah Collins Rudolph, folks, she is one of the survivors of the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing 50 years ago. We appreciate your courage in telling your story and in sharing and helping us all to remember the sacrifices that made those who gave their lives and those like you who, while you didn't lose your life, clearly a casualty of that struggle. We thank you for your service to us all and for your endurance and for your example and your courage. God bless you. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, and take care now. Folks,
all right.
All right. Bye-bye. Folks, Bye-bye. The sister of Addie Mae Collins, who survived that blast. Really interesting to hear her articulate what we heard Dr. King say earlier, and we thank her.
Thanks for getting woke and listening to Make It Plain. As always, perform an act of kindness on behalf of an elder or young person. Write a letter to a sister brother who just so happens to find her or himself incarcerated. Offer libations to the ancestors upon whose sturdy shoulders we all now stand. And above all, give thanks to the God of your understanding by whatever name you call her and him. All God asks of us is that we give each other love. Thanks for giving MIP love. And please remember to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. If all hearts and minds are clear, it has been made plain.